Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Shanel Evans. Hi, Shanel.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. This is going to be a great conversation. You and I met at the NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners Conference in Washington, D.C. And it was the 50th anniversary of NABO, so that was very special. And I love that organization. It was a great conference, great connections, and you had a beautiful, beautiful booth there, like very aesthetic, very beautiful. And we started talking. I go like, okay, I have to have you on my podcast because you're an entrepreneur, you also volunteer, you're a mother, a wife, you contribute back to the community, and you have a very amazing business. So I thought it would be a great conversation. So, but let me give your bio so the listeners know who you are. So you are basically, you're saying that consultants who have a love-hate relationship are my people. You partner with consultants and service providers to give easy-to-implement social media strategies so they can be booked, visible, and unbothered. So I think this is pretty amazing. We're going to talk about the social media strategies and what you do, but also talk to you about you as a person and how you manage to be so active on so many aspects of life, which is pretty incredible.
Awesome.
Good. So let's start with your entrepreneurship path. How did you get started?
Yeah, well, there are some people I think kind of fall into entrepreneurship accidentally, and then there are some people who that is just kind of their normal path. I grew up in a very traditional get a job, go to school, kind of follow a traditional career path. I have an accounting degree. I was a CPA. I exercised and practiced accounting in a accounting large firm. And quite honestly, I knew in college that at some point I was going to do something entrepreneurial. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew that I was going to do something entrepreneurial. The thought of sitting in a cube and ticking and tying spreadsheets, for someone else in another business just wasn't super appealing to me. And I've always had an entrepreneurial side of me, right? And so, even in my accounting and finance roles as a finance director, I've been in entrepreneurial spaces where there's business development that takes place, where you're coordinating and meeting with other departments, where you're pitching projects, right? And so there was always that business building and entrepreneurial skill that I was building and muscle that I was building that I didn't quite realize it at the time in my career. But my husband and I also have a nonprofit track and field organization that we started 15 years ago when I was in corporate. And running a nonprofit and building and growing a nonprofit is much like growing a business. And I got to the part, quite honestly, in my nonprofit. Most community-based nonprofits have super duper lean budgets. I was tasked with the social media piece of it, and I grew our organization from 8 kids community organization to a nationally recognized organization, 8-time award winning, where we now serve well over 300-400 families a year. But I grew it through social media in a shoestring budget. And what started happening is that people would come to me like, okay, who's doing your social media? Who's doing your marketing? And it was me. So I got into a place, quite honestly, where I was burnt out from accounting. I kind of took a step back and I was doing like fractional CFO work. But at the same time, in growing our nonprofit, I started taking on marketing clients, right? So I'm kind of living in these two worlds. I'm living in the accounting space. I'm living in the marketing and business development space. And then the pandemic hits. And I'm like, you know what? your heart is with business development and small business and visibility, and you are playing it safe by sticking to what you know in your accounting comfort zone. And here it is, the world is shut down. And if you don't follow your dream right this moment, when you basically have a fork in the road, you're never going to do it, right? And so I started phasing out my accounting clients, lean heavy into my business development marketing firm, and I haven't looked back since. Has it been easy all the time? Absolutely not. But it has been so rewarding being able to work with small business owners and organizations and help them reach more of their dream clients by tapping into the power of visibility and social media.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank
Incredible.
you.
So what are some of your successful actions in terms of getting social media to work as a marketing tool?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I would say is kind of ditching the perfection. We, as business owners, I think we get caught up in thinking that we have to be content creators. And we see TikToks and these mini movies that are shown, and influencers that are showing up, 4 or 5 times a day. And we think as business owners, that's what we need to do. But our clients aren't necessarily looking for us to be content creators. They're looking for us to fill their gaps. And so really just kind of ditching that perfection and showing up for your clients, showing up as your imperfect self, giving them a sneak peek of what it's like to work with you in the behind the scenes, but not feeling like it has to be so curated that it prohibits you from showing up at all.
Yeah, for sure. So now you're working with consultants,
Mm-hmm.
and what are some of the strategies? Like, let's say we have consultants that are listening to us right now, and they want to
Yeah.
know what are some strategies that work for those consultants?
Yeah. So in addition to sharing some behind the scenes and kind of ditching the perfection, is really honing in on a message that fills the gap for your clients. So a lot of times as consultants, as service providers, we want to just jump right into the solution. Our client is, needs systems. I'm going to sell you a system. I'm going to sell you the automation, but our clients, they don't know that they need that. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they just know what's kind of going on in their existing space right this moment. They know that they're missing deadlines. They know that they're dropping the ball on projects. They know that they're burned out at the end of the day. They don't know that they need automation, right? So sometimes what we have to do with our messaging is we got to meet our clients where they are and stop jumping automatically to the solution, but like speaking to them about the things they are aware of what how their problem is showing up. So for consultants and service providers, that means kind of dialing back our message a little bit and speaking to what's going on in that consultants or that dream client space. But ultimately, like, what do they desire? They don't necessarily desire automation, but you know what they want? They want to be able to rest at night knowing that they're not checking their emails 24/7, right? So
Right.
speaking to their dreams and the desires and the things that they ultimately want to be celebrating over, a 6 and 9 month period.
That's exactly right. I agree. So you have that. So you do that like behind the scenes and really touching upon the problem that the client might have without
Mhm.
jumping into the solution right away.
Mhm.
What other strategies would you suggest?
Yeah, really flexing your authority as consultants, as service providers. We are trained to do the work. We're not always trained to brag about the work that we do. And we feel like it's bragging, but it's not bragging if it's true. So the expertise is what we do. The authority is how we do it and how we stand in it. And so being unapologetic about our authority in this space and how we shift lives and create transformation for our clients.
So what would be some examples of showing your authority or flexing your authority?
Yeah, so one, client testimonials, sharing the results that you've gotten for other clients, but not just, the whole standard, let me share this sentence or two that a client gave me, but no, I started working with ID and this is what was going on in her world. This is what her business looked like. After we started working together, here is how we applied my framework. And as a result, she's able to have more peace in her life. She's able to move her hands off her keyboard. She's able to not be worried about her email at night. So kind of telling those client stories so that our dream clients can see themselves in that story at the same time we're sharing our authority.
Absolutely. Do you feel like there is a platform that is better than other? Like, what platforms do you prefer for B2B, for B2C? Like, what would you recommend?
I love this question because here's the thing. You got to be where your clients are. You got to be where your clients are, and you got to be where your strengths lie, right? So for me, I tend to live on Facebook and LinkedIn because I know that that's where my clients are making decisions. They're making buying decisions there. They're not there necessarily to be entertained. They're there to make buying decisions. But like, I don't mind video, right? So I can hang out on Instagram as well because my clients are there. I don't mind video. But if you're not a video person, you have no business trying to start a YouTube channel, right? You can, of course, get better at it, but like, go where your strengths are, because then it's going to be easier for you to show up consistently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure you're being asked this question a lot in terms of going viral. What's your take on it? I mean, some people say, well, no, you don't need to go viral. You just need to have presence. And yes, go viral. So what, or how do you go viral? What's your take on it?
Yeah. So here's the thing. We are in a space where it's very noisy on social media. There's a lot coming at us from a news perspective, from economic perspective. All the things are coming at us, right? And so our clients are overwhelmed. They want to see that we fill their gaps. They want to see that we're showing up. They want to see that we're not giving them fluff. So yes, you can go viral, and that could be a goal of yours. But my ultimate goal when I work with clients is, let's get you visible in the right spaces. Let's get you visible in front of the right clients, in the right audiences. Let's get you on stages that make the most sense. Could you go viral? Absolutely. But the goal isn't to go viral. The goal is to create impact and to be in the spaces where you are ultimately going to be met with clients.
Right. And it's to show your authenticity, to show that you're present.
Yeah.
So when you have presence, then people know that you're for real and they can see and they can learn. Where do you think social media fits in the sales cycle?
Honestly, in this day and age, is huge. So for most of my consultants and service-based providers, they may have relied on word of mouth for quite a bit, and probably, be honest, maybe even have built a business through word of mouth, right? We're in a space where that word of mouth referral has likely dried up. The market has definitely shifted. And even if somebody refers you, they're going to go take a peek at your LinkedIn. They're going to go search for you. So social media is your voice, is shifting your own narrative, is standing up and giving people an idea of, okay, this is what I am, this is who I stand for, this is who I serve. But yes, the social media is a way for, in a tremendous way, to create visibility, but also so that you can educate and nurture your clients along the path, because they got to see you a number of times to be able to say, you know what, I saw her LinkedIn, I looked at her article, I saw a reel, and she's the person for me. So social media is one way to be able to do that.
Absolutely. How often do you think people should post? Should consultants or companies post on social media?
You know what? I know it sounds crazy to say it depends, but it depends. You got to be active, right? And so consistency is going to look different for every person. I'm the type of, consultant, I'm going to be on every day in some form or fashion, right? There are some people that consistency for them might look like 2 or 3 times a week on LinkedIn. So you got to figure out, your kind of own rhythm, so that it's not overwhelming. Because if it's overwhelming, you're not going to do it. But at the same time, you want to be visible and show up in a number of places at a number of times and be consistent.
Absolutely. So tell us, how do you engage with clients? So what does an engagement look like?
Yeah. So in terms of how I work with clients, yeah. So I have probably 3 primary ways that clients will come to me. So I have some clients that are like, Shanel, I just need to tap into your brain, but I can take the strategy and I can do it myself. And that's cool. So I have a product called the Socially Savvy Playbook and Power Prompt Cards. It's my $10 million of strategy in the written format plus business stories, paired with the prompt cards for conversation starters with your timeline. So you can do it yourself, read about it, and then you have implementation that's easy to apply. And so clients love it, right? Then I have some clients that are like, okay, I got that, but I need guidance along the way. I need some accountability. And so I have more of a done with you type community where We work on your strategy. You have a whole messaging blueprint, but then I'm with you along the implementation, because sometimes you can do it yourself, but then you're like, okay, I did that, but does it make sense? I tried this. It feels scary. Hey, does this look right? So I'm with my clients on a 90-day basis to make sure the implementation is up and running. And then I have some clients that are like, look, Shanel, I don't want to do none of it. I need to get on your calendar. I need to shoot you an email when I want. I need your cell phone number. And so I have private clients who have that level of access where I am giving them and providing them with content, but I'm also training their team. I'm giving them guidance. They're on my calendar. We're brainstorming ideas. So those are 3 primary ways that I work with clients.
That's great. And how do you measure success?
So there are a couple ways, right? So one, I can't let the accounting piece of me go, right? I can't let the accounting and business development piece of me go. So revenue obviously is going to be a metric. Did you get new clients during our time together? Did you increase your sales activity? Do you have more people in your calendar? Did more people attend your webinar? So that's one way, is increase in sales activity, right? But then also, you cannot discount clarity enough. And so a lot of times my clients will come to me because I work with, just, I'm sure as you do, I work with high achieving women who tend to overthink. We're highly educated, and sometimes we get in our own head, and having a thought partner that can bounce ideas off of you and kind of repeat back what you said and help you get and sort out your own thoughts, there's a huge, tremendous value and clarity. And sometimes that result isn't always tangible, but my clients know for sure that after a 90-day period of working with us, sometimes even, to be honest, after just a strategy session, they're like, yep, I feel so much more clear. I know my path. I know where I'm headed. You help me unravel my thoughts.
That's great. That's very good. Excellent. Well, Shanel, if our listeners would like to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I'm all over on social, of course. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, ShanelEvans.com. And then I have a podcast that you can take a listen and get some additional tips on being book visible and unbothered. And you can go to structureandsoulpodcast.com to listen to those episodes.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to include all of that in our show notes. And I want to really thank you for being a guest on this podcast.
Yes, thank you so much.